Where is the property line that divides the public sidewalk from the privately owned outdoor plaza? How wide is the public sidewalk? Where is the property line that divides it?
So it's a 20-foot public sidewalk, and if we pull up the drawing.
The existing sidewalk is 12 feet, so we set back our buildings and the plaza line 8 feet further in. So what you see as the sidewalk, see there? That dotted line is the property line. But we set back to widen because we're required to have a 20-foot sidewalk on Atlantic and Plaza.
When did FCR decide not to build B1? If you found an anchor tenant today, how much time would it take to build B1? Marion?
I can't say that there was an absolute moment in time where we said we wouldn't build the office building, except that with vacancy rates, commercial vacancy rates in New York City exceeding 10%, and the replacement cost for what it takes to build an office building and the rents that one can charge, the economic equation doesn't pencil out. And that means that we will wait for the recovery of the commercial office market, which in New York City tends to be cyclical. It could be 5 years, it could be 8 years. It's very difficult to know when that moment is, but Brooklyn is a compression market. It's how we look at rents in the borough of Manhattan. It's very difficult to imagine anytime soon that the office rents that one could charge in Brooklyn would justify new construction.
Flow from Transit Hub to the buildings 2, 3, and 4 considered, or will there be another exit?
No, it was considered, and there will not be another exit. You come out of that transit entrance and you walk on the sidewalk to buildings 2, 3, and 4.
It's also worth noting that one doesn't have to come out of that exit. That is a connection into the transit hub across the street, and so it is at one's election to utilize that entrance or not, but certainly the use of that entrance was analyzed from the very beginning in terms of placing that entrance there at the tip.
EIS states that construction on the arena block will result in significant adverse noise impacts for the Dean playground. Since the plaza will be directly next to construction sites for buildings 2, 3, and 4, how can this function as a usable public space?
I believe the noise impacts that they referred to were not only during construction, but during the operation of this project. And in this case, we're, of course, city plans to build their residential towers sequentially, so there will not be the cumulative construction noise impacts of 2, 3, and 4 simultaneously. And I think also if you, maybe not this slide, but another slide, you can see that the arena does buffer these 2, 3, and 4 sites from the urban plaza. I mean, it is in the confluence of 2 major avenues. You're going to have noise from your traffic. It's an urban space. You can't avoid it.
When will street trees be planted along Flatbush and Atlantic?
The streetscape design is part and parcel of the decisions on by the security working group at the city to where all the street furniture is and the location of it is decided by the various agencies so that they will get pedestrian paths, they will get all obstacles, including street trees. It all gets coordinated with all the agencies, parks, city planning, counterterrorism, DOT, DEP, and then they sign off, and that entire package is built as part of the opening condition of the arena. And obviously, it's called site work technically, but we think of it as streetscape. So wherever the light poles are going, wherever the street trees are going to be, they all have to be planted and built and in the sidewalk with brand new sidewalk by the time the arena is open.
Jane, you may want to take this one also. Why not put in some significant trees elevated on the structure? You said not enough room below grade for root balls.
That is true. There's not enough room on places on the plaza for roof balls, but also we looked at that. We looked at trees in planters, and it was ferociously debated at the city level because trees and planters are actually not a very attractive and sidewalk treatment, and they obstruct traffic. And in this particular case, around this tip and through this plaza, there's a lot of traffic, and you don't want to obstruct it. So the trees are going to be planted in the ground, and they cannot be on the plaza.
Dynamic, in quotes, signage. Isn't it more civic to have something more aesthetic and timeless?
Well, it's an arena. It's a place that people come. There's going to be a need for signage, and there's going to be a need to have it be changeable. I think that the placement of it in the oculus actually contains it. It could be events that are going on inside. It could be events that are coming up. It could be an art installation. It could be a graphic color. It could be many, many different things. And I think that when you think about signage on arenas around the country and around the world, that this is one that's much more like a piece of art or an art installation than what would be typically found on an arena. And it was something that we absolutely were pushing for and try to do to make something that wasn't, that was more subtle and more integrated to the building and more internally facing rather than blasting out at the neighborhoods.
Other than where the entries and 2 retail stores are, is the arena enclosed with solid walls, Atlantic and 6th and D? If so, doesn't this diminish neighborhood life?
Well, no, because basically you've got the bases of residential buildings surrounding a good portion of the perimeter of the site. So you have retail and views into restaurants, the entry. There's all glass and retail and entries along here. And then you've got really what you'll see is the bases of the residential buildings coming down and framing the neighborhood in that way. So the sort of solid parts of the arena are back here, and those will not be seen.
How many local people have been hired? Local equals Prospect Heights, Fort Greene, etc.
So our agreement is that 1 out of every 4 jobs, union jobs on site, will be available to the community. And those jobs, the definition of community, minority jobs for the community, of those jobs, because it's not just the community boards that were mentioned, 2, 6, and 8, approximately 40% of the 1 in 4 jobs have been jobs that have been held by folks in those 3 community boards. And I'd also say that right now, the job numbers obviously are less than what they will be as construction gets full throttle with the arena. And so those numbers will go up and down, but our commitment in the 1 in 4 jobs being available to minorities and community residents is our commitment, and we'll continue to honor that commitment throughout the construction.
Can you give an idea of the number now?
Or enter the...
What is the approximate number now?
There are approximately 100 people that are working on the site now, and there are 40 jobs that have been made available to minorities under our agreements.
Well,
And
local
of those 40 local jobs, local being not just the community boards in the area, 19 have been from 2, 6, and 8. And I can give you those numbers in more detail if I've misquoted them in any way, but those are roughly the numbers.
If I want to get those from